Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 6th installment of So Tell Me with Phil Bhojwanay. My guest today is comedian Jeff Lutz. Jeff has performed stand-up at venues that include the Comic Strip Live, Gotham Comedy Club, Caroline's on Broadway, and the world-famous Comedy Store in Hollywood, California. Most recently, he wrote and acted in a long-form sketch titled The Politically Corrects at the Tribeca Performing Arts Center. He's been a contributing writer for National Lampoon, a screenwriter for Mad Monkey Entertainment, and an on-air personality for WFT-FM in Gainesville, Florida. Welcome to the show, Jeff. How are you?
Thank you, Phil. Thank you for having me. I'm doing well.
You're doing well? That's
I'm
good.
holed up in my apartment here, like Anne Frank.
Oh,
so, things.
And Frank, that
so
brings
far so good.
So far so good.
They haven't found me yet.
No, well, I know. Well, thank you for coming on the show. I know that you said that you had some issues with the with getting the apartment to yourself because you've got 5 other roommates or something along those lines, and so nice of you to get the house for yourself for once at least.
Well, I had to send out a text earlier today to make sure the circus wasn't in town, and just give fair warning. So we'll see what happens.
Right.
There's no telling. There's a restaurant downstairs. There's 4 roommates. There's walls creaking and cracking and wood floors. So far so good.
All right, fantastic. Okay, now let me ask you something. We spoke briefly over the phone earlier, and you mentioned the other day to me that you haven't done stand-up in about a year. Personally, from what I've seen, I think you're pretty funny. Why'd you stop? What happened over there?
I think it was a combination of a lot of things. Number one, I wasn't really having as much fun doing it as I had when I first started.
Uh-huh.
Really when I started stand-up, it was an outlet for me. It was, it got the juices flowing. It basically was therapy and cathartic in a way, but also it really made me feel good. And I think through the process of 10 years moving, I started in Pennsylvania, went down to Florida for college, really got into it there. Then I moved back to Pennsylvania, then Los Angeles for a year, now New York the past 5 years. It's just, it became very negative, it became very depressing, just the act of doing it, going out, going to the clubs, doing, similar routines night after night,
right.
Seeing other comics who, in my opinion, are very talented going nowhere.
Yes.
To me, that
it puts you off.
It wasn't a good feeling.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. What about the audiences though? Don't you find they've become too PC with the attitude? You can't say anything anymore as a comedian. I mean, no matter what you say, you're wrong. So that's why I stopped actually, because I was a roast comedian and I just couldn't deal with the audiences anymore. So I decided to just go into hosting altogether. Do you find that the audiences?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you do.
I think it's a big part of it. If you really want to be on the edge and really play with that line of how far is too far, a lot of audiences aren't there for that. They're there for the guy on TV who's like, hey, look at me, I'm funny, I'm talking loud, I'm talking in a comedy voice, I'm telling you exactly where to laugh, exactly what's funny in his opinion, in her opinion. That's what they want. I mean, at least for the most part, that's what I see. That's what I see working in a lot of these clubs. And then you sit there as a comedian, just like you, after 10 years taking in all these shows, and you're like, that's really not funny to me. What's funny to me is a unique take, a smart take, something that nobody else is saying or doing, and really putting themselves out there and really saying the things that other people aren't saying.
Exactly. I mean, you have to tell it as it
Sorry,
is.
I feel like we're.
No, go on. Sorry. Say what
we're getting we're on a serious tone here.
That's fine.
Already.
The whole show is gonna go sideways anyway. So yeah. Say what you got to say, because as a comic, that's what you got to do.
Trying to make it in stand-up comedy, it's like trying to. Okay, I'll put it all out there. Trying to make it in stand-up comedy is like trying to break out of Shawshank. It's 20 years chipping away to get to a river of shit, only to end up unknown and on the run in Mexico.
You know
and what was my crime? Trying to make people laugh, trying to bring joy to the world.
You know what? I will say this. I think that's probably one of the best analogies I've heard in a long, long time, and you hit the nail on the head. You're absolutely correct. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is, and what it's going to become, and what it has become, and what it always will be. Today, in the times we live in, at least. So, that's a good answer. I like that. Let me ask you, while we're talking about
Bill,
comedy. Yeah, go on. Yeah,
I've been doing this almost 10 years now.
right.
All in the United States, but Florida, Pennsylvania, Los Angeles, New York. I am no further today than the day I started. I've gone everywhere and gotten nowhere. The same amount of people don't know me. Bill, there's probably another 17 billion people in China that weren't even around the day when I started. How many of you people listening, you don't know me. You're not going to know me when we're done. You're wishing you're one of those 17 billion people in China that's been born since I started talking.
That's, well, it's sad to say, but ironically, you would be correct. But speaking of correct, I want to talk about politically correct and politically incorrect. I also you improvised for a little bit, right? Where'd you go? Where'd you attend school for that? Did you take classes for improvising?
Mostly, I've always just done stand-up. Mostly in the stand-up clubs. I've done a little bit of informal training for improv, but nothing Second City or UCB or anything like that.
Yeah, well, that doesn't
pretty much just life.
Well, that doesn't make a difference anymore. But this is what I want. I want to talk about the comics versus the stand-ups versus the improv. Okay, I'm all for the stand-ups because with the stand-ups you tell it as it is, and you can say whatever you have to say. You stick to your guns. Now, you must have heard, I think, recently with the improv, and I attended Second City for a while, but I never did any improv over there because I always thought it was gay, to be honest. I never thought it was funny. I thought it was too PC, and I never liked it. You couldn't say anything, and everything was just too contrived. It's funny that it's contrived, and yet it's improvised, but it's still contrived because you're given a set of guidelines, and you can only stick to a certain amount of things you can say. And people say that, the improv is a family. We're all a family together. And then recently, about maybe a week ago, I don't know whether you heard this. You might have living in New York. There have been some allegations that have been raised about some sexual misconduct against women in the improv of how men have been sort of during scenes, for lack of a better word, taking advantage of them and just for comic sort of purposes, and now there's been a backlash about all this. Have you heard about this?
No, I actually, to be honest, I haven't. I don't really hear much.
Well, that gives you the inclination about how fucking stupid the improv is.
But I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm just kind of, amazed that an improviser would be so bold. I mean, it takes me about 4 years to build up the courage to make a move with a woman, let alone in a show.
Yeah. No, but that's exactly what this is where the paradox lies for me. When they say that you can't say anything or you can't do something at the improv, you have to be very politically correct because audiences are very sensitive. And then now you find out that this is what's going on at the improv. This is they're a walking paradox. I mean, what improv is there? So basically, it's already pre-planned that you're gonna do this because you want to get in on some action. So I was never a big fan of the improv, and I guess my Nostradamus take was correct. If you see what's happening right now with the improv, so stick to stand-up, no matter how shitty you find it to be.
Thank you. That's great advice. It's probably the best advice I've heard on it. I always knew the one rule in improv was, don't negate anything that your team member says. Always
it's
up
a
the
yes
ante,
and
make it positive.
Exactly.
And again, yes and exactly. And just like you said, it kind of defeats the purpose of what improv is in theory. I mean, improv is supposed to be, it can go anywhere. You can say anything. It comes off the top of the head, just like jazz. But it's really, in many ways, just like you said, it's not completely off the cuff. It's it's already kind of preformed.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, and that's why I left. And I even though I was just writing, taking classes at the same time and doing a number of things at Second City, I just told the director to piss off because you would have to dumb down sketches for the sake of to please them. So in the midst of doing that, you lose your own voice. So if you can't say what you have to say, leave. That's what I say. Go and do it out there. Go make it out there on your own.
Right, exactly. And comedy, as a whole, improv, stand-up, whatever. I mean, comedy is all based on saying what
you feel
maybe you shouldn't say.
Yes.
So to go to a class that tells you, don't go there, don't say that, keep it positive, keep it up in the ante, yes, and that's not what comedy is.
It's nonsense. Yeah, it's to me. I've always when they say that the improv is a family. So let me get this straight. So basically, the teacher would be your parent, a guy would be your brother, the girl would be your sister, and that would be incest as far as I'm concerned, right? When you do a scene together, then that's the improv family for
like
you.
A family in Kentucky.
Yeah. Well, Kentucky is good. The only reason I like Kentucky is because Jennifer Lawrence is out of there. So hopefully we'll keep Kentucky out of it for her sake.
Well, that's true. But if you have her on your improv team, then you're going places. That's a whole different story. You're right, Phil.
It's all joy from there, isn't it? Yeah. All right, now fuck the improv. Let's get some.
Judd had a good run too.
Okay, forget the improv now. Let's get to something else. They don't deserve enough of my time on my show. Let's get to my bit of the silly questions I like to raise about stupid society. Okay, so because I know you're a smart guy, you seem like it at least. I'm not so sure you might be, but you seem like it. I'm just messing with you. I know you're a clever guy. Let me ask you this. Just random questions. Are you aware of who? I know you know who Winnie the Pooh is. Everyone knows who Winnie the fucking Pooh is, right? The bear. Are you aware of Paddington Bear, the English version almost of the bear?
I've heard the name. I am aware of it, but I don't know it enough. Well, we'll see. We'll see what you ask me.
Well, I was going to ask you just on top of my head, between Winnie the Pooh and Paddington Bear, who would win in a bear fight?
Oh, I'm going to say Paddington, even though I have no idea who the fuck Paddington Bear is, but I just think Winnie the Pooh's a pussy.
Yeah, he needs to get some honey. That's all he's doing. And I don't think he's ever got...
All things I've seen point in that direction. And, let's leave it at that.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, let's get to another question. Just in the mood today to ask really, really stupid things. Have you seen those people? I don't know whether this happens in New York, but I live in Singapore as well, and in Melbourne, and I lived in Chicago for a little bit. And I think in the last maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years, have you noticed a lot of people with strolls, prams, have dogs on them now, and babies seem to be on leashes. This is what parents are doing. Have you noticed this?
I've seen this, and I've actually seen it where there's multiple people on a leash at one time, so it's kind of like a convoy leash. Yeah. This is not a good trend. I mean, at some point, this is, I think, what the Nazis envisioned. If we can't get rid of the Jews, we're just going to walk them around on a leash. Yeah. So I don't think this is good.
It is not good. And why do you think that people are taking their dogs to a higher ground and the kids are literally on the ground now? It's very, very odd, isn't it?
Why are
dogs
why
on higher ground?
More important than kids?
Yeah, kids seem to be on the floor with the leashes, and then you see the dogs and the prams. This is where society is going, is it? I mean, we have Donald Trump, who's leading in the polls. We've got dogs on prams, and meanwhile, you and me are sitting over here on a what day is it today, Alex? On a Wednesday morning, hanging out and talking about comedy that's dying because we're dying as well. So what's happening to the world?
I don't know. I mean, and my Wi-Fi connection is something to be desired. So it's not a good trend. I mean, dogs are dressing better than people these days, yeah. And why are dogs more important than kids? I don't know, but I know that they have higher fashion than kids. So that can't be good either.
It's but these are the same parents who are dressing up the dogs better than they are dressing up their kids. Something isn't right over here. There's something wrong with the gene pool. Something is going wrong. We need
absolutely. I mean, I think it used to be you would have a dog to kind of practice if you have enough brain cells to have children. But it seems like they have the children and then they want to go back to the dog. It should be a step in evolution here. You practice with the dog. You fuck up with the dog. If the dog dies, nobody wants that, but it's not the end of the world. If the children die and don't live well, that's
that's a problem.
That's not good. That's not. I mean, all of society is suffering.
They are. They're absolutely suffering. And do you think it's going to get worse with Donald Trump in the forefront now, with his crazy antiques? He's a bit of an insane guy, isn't he? Are you into politics much? Have you been following what's been going on in the States? I mean, you live there, so.
I have been, to answer this question.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think Donald Trump ever really wanted to win. I think it was just a ploy. I think he liked to get into it, to see what would happen, to kind of stir things up.
Right.
He has definitely done that, but what we've found is that there's quite a large sect of society here in the U.S. that, they're just biased and complete racists, and they love this guy because he's saying everything that they've been saying for years and nobody's been listening.
Yeah, he's essentially what he's doing is that he's saying things that people say behind closed doors, isn't it? That's what they're doing. That's
yeah, and
yeah.
Yeah, there's something admirable about that. There's something very interesting about it because it is at least starting a dialogue. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if this guy wins, I mean, it's kind of like, it's the crazy.
Yeah, that's my concern.
The out of control guy. All of a sudden, he's got all the power. I mean, just because you can build a building, doesn't mean you should be running a country.
Yeah, that excuse me. You just led me to my next question. So let's go on the basis that he does win. If he does win, and I hope not, where do you see America going? Because this is a major issue that people are not taking seriously, because this is not a proper candidate by any means. It's just a guy who's, I think, out there for his more than 15 minutes of fame that he's already had throughout his life, and he's not gonna make things any better for anyone else. So where do you see America going? I personally am very, very keen to know an American's take on this.
That's a great question. Yeah, I think it is mostly a publicity stunt. I think it's good exposure for him. It's a TV show, really. Where's America going? I think America is going into a very conservative, almost dangerously conservative nation if this guy wins, because he doesn't want to allow Muslims in the country. And that he's saying right off the top of his head. Who else doesn't he get along with? I mean, I know he said things about Mexicans coming across the border. And on some level, he's making points about immigration that are striking people and are making people think. But he's handling very difficult, delicate situations undelicately, and that's going to piss a lot of people off, and that's going to piss the whole fucking world off, and that's not good. So, when you really think about it, I don't think it's a good thing. I think it's kind of the crazy guy getting let into, to the family dinner, and then just, I mean, he's not Hitler, but, he's kind of like maybe Hitler's nephew.
I think at one of the rallies, he threw someone out for having a turban or a different skin tone. It's quite a debacle, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not a good precedent, and this is only the tip of the iceberg because he doesn't really have the power that he would have if he becomes president. I mean, he thinks he does, but it's not even close to what he would have. So I am entertained by it, but as we get closer and closer, and as he gains more support, it really becomes more and more dangerous. And I will say this about the Sikhs: I ran into one on the street, and he gave me a great reading about where my life is headed, and I'm just wondering what happened to this guy because it hasn't happened yet, and I'm starting to worry.
That is one religion that truly does practice a lot of peace, and they're very, very friendly bunch, and it's just very sad to see someone being killed over something that they didn't do, and if it, along with the gun culture and stuff like this, things will just snowball into a domino effect of disaster, and then things are really, really gonna go the wrong way. I'm hoping for Bernie Sanders to take the presidency because I think he will bring some balance that's a much needed balance that's needed for America at the moment. But I guess that's politics for you, isn't it, Jeff?
Yeah, we gotta wait and see how this plays out. I'm not really struck by any of these candidates, to be honest. I don't think I'll be voting for Hillary Clinton. Yeah, I do like Bernie Sanders to a point, but he's kind of out there, and he's older as well. He's the kind of guy that when he's fucking the intern, this guy might croak, and then.
No, all the candidates this time are horrible. I think this is the worst bunch in 100 years. And it's very, very sad. As Donald Trump says, it's very sad. And he says, by the way, excuse me. He's always making excuses. He says, this is how he talks. By the way, excuse me. Let me finish. The man's a dictator. I don't know what to say. His hand movements are all over the place. So I was watching
I think you hit the exact... Oh, sorry. I think you hit the exact word. He's a dictator in training. Is really it's where he's going. It's where he wants to be. And he can do that in his own private business. But with the country, that's a different story.
And let me tell you something else about this man. If you notice his interviews that he does with various people, there's a double standard because I think I saw him with Barbara Walters. I saw him with on Chris Matthews and a couple of other people who will constantly overtalk and interrupt him, but he does not get angry with them because he knows them for a while, and there is some sense of respect. But for anyone else, there isn't any respect. So basically, the man has a double standard. He deems things fit and necessary as he sees, as he pleases, and this is the mindset of a man which is going to cause destruction. What has to go on is construction, not destruction.
He's a great businessman, and a great businessman is a user. So in those terms, he could be a phenomenal politician, but he's not actually a politician, he's not playing it right because he's putting all his cards on the table before he's even reached any sort of power significance. A real politician, and I'm watching House of Cards now on Netflix. This is how I'm just basing this on Kevin Spacey.
Yeah. Speaking of cards, though, no one's.
But a real politician plays the game, and he would, and he would shut up about some of these issues, not to alienate everyone at one time, and then see what happens.
Now, let me ask you something. What the most recent debate he did not attend because he does not like Megyn Kelly, correct? What is it about this woman that he doesn't like? Is it he can't stand the fact that she probably is, and I do think that she is smarter than him. She puts him in place, and he can't deal with that fact, can't he? Can he? He just has to be on top always.
I think you're right. Yeah, and I think it all stems from the initial first debate. She asked some very pointed questions right out of the gate that he was, he thought it was inappropriate. I forget exactly what the question was, but I think it was just that. It was just as simple as that.
Yeah. If he doesn't like the moderator, he's out of there pretty much. That's his whole spiel. And he's a big-time asshole. I don't know why I'm talking so much about politics today, but as you know, the show is based on my mood, so I'm in the mood to talk about this, so you have to deal with this, Jeff.
That's good. I'm just trying to keep up. Who's running in Australia? Thank God you haven't asked me about that.
We'll actually have to stick to America because what you guys do has an impact on the world, not the other way around. That's sad to say, and that's why I'm so concerned about Donald Trump becoming president.
Yes, I'm concerned as well, and I would also like to ask you, how hard is it to gain immigration in Singapore or Australia in case he wins?
Singapore and Australia, no problem for you. You'll be fine. Someone will sponsor you, maybe even Donald Trump, just to get you out of the country, and you'll be good to go. And then you come down over here, you sit by the beach, and you sip some mimosas, yeah. Or some samosas, whatever you want.
That sounds good. My comedy career can only go up.
Yeah, it can only go up. Unlike Donald Trump's dick, which can only stay down at the moment. That's why he's so upset with his life. Okay, so.
His daughter is very nice looking, though. We gotta say that.
Yeah, she's okay. I do think she looks a bit like a Caitlyn Jenner, to be honest. She's got a bit of a plastic face going on. I don't think she's all that, to be honest. A lot of people do think that she is, but she's not bad. She's got a good body. But that's another thing about Donald Trump. He just reminded me of. He's got the hots for his daughter. Huh? He's always got something to say about how beautiful she is, and it's very awkward for a father to keep saying stuff like that.
Yeah, that is a little weird. That kind of goes back to the initial analogy about Kentucky that we talked about.
Yeah. Well, I guess that would be Kentucky Fried Pork if he's going to poke his daughter, but we won't get into that. Anyway.
Hey, let me tell you, you brought up Caitlyn Jenner,
Yep.
and the Kardashians, they are unbelievable. They're making money vagina over penis.
Let me ask you, since you just brought up the Jenners, this is a bunch of people who take up airtime on TV and space in society who are utter waste of time, and Caitlyn Jenner isn't exactly the champion of equality or the top pick of someone people should look up to, as far as I'm concerned. We talk about transgenders over here. I mean, people are becoming more accepting, but this guy isn't exactly the benchmark you want to look up to, is it?
I don't think so. You know, I don't know if this is my forte to be delving into this. I don't know if I'm speaking for the whole LGBT community. But yeah, I think he's very similar to Donald Trump in some ways, because it's all about him. It's all his agenda.
Absolutely.
And really, and all the Kardashians are like this. It's just about me. What's best for me? How do I get on TV? How do I get talked about? How do I get my brand sold? You know, he doesn't give a fuck. Yeah, you know, one day he's winning a gold medal running in the Olympics. The next day he's getting a vagina surgery, and now everybody can talk about him again, and he's on the front cover. I really think that's about all he cares about.
I know, and now we're doing a vagina monologue about these guys or girls. What do we call them? I don't even know anymore. So you speak about stuff like that. That's
a nice button.
Thank you. Celebrities and well, I don't want to call these people celebrities, but I want to bring up this for some reason. It just reminded me of the Beckhams, right? The footballer. You guys call football soccer. It's actually called football, by the way. Let's get that clear.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
thank you for clearing that up.
You know who David Beckham is, right? And his wife Victoria.
Yeah, he's that underwear model.
Kids like this. So he's got a son named Brooklyn Beckham, named after the city of the Brooklyn in New York, and kids like this guy, Brooklyn, Jaden Smith, Will Smith's son, they're born into privilege. They shoot commercials and they dress up like clowns and they get these gigs. Meanwhile, people like you are struggling just to get a gig somewhere else. This is what I'm talking about. This is where society becomes so fucked up, right?
I don't know if those two things connect. I mean, I'm trying to dress like a clown, but it's not working for me.
Nothing ever connects in society. That's the problem, and that's why I bring it up. It's just unfair, and I feel very, very sad that society has become this way. If we go back to 50 years ago, things were not like this. Things were much simpler. Even going back to the golden age of comedy, everything was simple. It was fun. It was just okay. You have a drink, you go out, you go to the strip clubs in Vegas, you have a good time. Don Rickles did that with Frank Sinatra. They had a whole bunch. Dean Martin. That was a good time. If you wanted to be born into the world, the 20s was the time to be born in, so you'd live in the 40s and have a blast. That's the way I see it, at least.
I think black people would disagree with you.
Okay, you got me on that one, yeah. Completely, they'd be very, very upset. Completely agree.
For you and me, it sounds like fun. You're right. I would have loved the 70s, too. I like that disco music.
Yeah, we'd have a blast. Absolutely. A complete blast of a time altogether. Okay, I want to segue to another stupid thing just for some reason. Just because I'm in a very, very annoyed mood today. More than usual. So, you seen these TED Talks on YouTube or on TV or wherever the fuck they come on? The TED Talks, you know what? These,
yes.
They bring up a certain topic? Yeah.
I've watched a bunch, and I know what you're talking about here. They're actually funnier than the movie Ted 2.
Okay, so you see where I'm going with this. Now, the topics that they raise, are they of any relevance for us? I mean, they tell us things like we don't even know what's going on anymore. I mean, you bring up issues. What was the last TED Talk you saw? What was it about?
I was really into them for a while, and I was really trying to better myself, and then I saw Monica Lewinsky doing a TED Talk, and I haven't watched any since.
I think that she'd be doing a TED job instead, right? Not a TED talk. So she might be choking on something.
Yeah, that kind of what's the criteria here for becoming a speaker at TED? That kind of if I'm getting my information from them and trying to find inspiration from these speakers, maybe this isn't the right spot for me.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out actually, was she holding a microphone or was she holding a dildo in her hand when she spoke?
She had a microphone, but the strangest thing was it had balls underneath it.
Yeah, well, and I think the balls had names as well. One was called Bill, the other was called Clinton, right? Oh, wait, was one called Hillary?
Yeah, I think you're right on that, yeah.
And, I have friends who ask me, do you know what mindfulness is? I'm like, yeah, that's being aware of your surroundings and being conscious about what's going on. And they say, no, there's more to that than just, there's more to mindfulness than just that. I said, no, there isn't. It's a simple definition. The problem with people in life like you is that you fucking complicate everything. I don't need to know a whole paragraph about this. I just have to know simplicity. That simplicity is key. That's all. People want to confuse everything, and that's exactly why I don't like these stupid TED Talks, because they take up 45 minutes of my fucking time that I don't need. I don't have time to spend on you. I got stuff to do. Don't waste my time. Go bother someone else.
Right, and when you really break it down, I mean, some of the people are very smart and very interesting and very inspirational. But, as I started watching them, that was about 5 to 10%. And most of them are just windbags like you and me. I mean, who gave them a platform to talk?
Well, don't.
I saw there was a. Sorry.
Don't put me in the same category as you. No,
one TED Talk. There was a model.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said, don't put me in the same category as you.
I'm just a windbag. All right, you're not a windbag. I'm a windbag.
No, go on. It's cool. Yeah, you were saying there was a model. Go on.
Yeah, there was a TED Talk that it was a model, and she was talking about why your looks aren't super important. It's like, first of all, for her they are the most important thing. That's how you're building your whole life. That's how you're doing a TED Talk. If you didn't have these looks, you wouldn't be a model.
Exactly.
You wouldn't have gained this stature.
That's like when people say what the first law of attraction is the attraction part. What attracts me to you is the way you look, and then I get to know you. It's not your personality first. What attracts somebody is, let me see how the person looks. Both goes for a guy and a girl. I don't know how it works for transgenders. We have to ask Caitlyn Jenner that, but for a guy and a girl, at least we go on the look first, and then you get to know the person, not the other way around. So this model, hence she's a model, they're not very totally clever, are they? She wasn't exactly Tyra Banks, I guess. So, yeah, well.
No, it was another wasted 45-minute TED Talk.
Yeah, I guess, I hope it wasn't on anorexia, because that's what they always talk about anyway. Actually, speaking of anorexia, that leads me to death for some reason. Well, I don't know why. I was thinking about this on the drive over today. Tell me this. Let me ask you. Top of your head, here's the question. Can you still find joy in your life? I don't mean Jennifer Lawrence, by the way. Can you still find joy in your life if you're in a coma?
In many ways, I might find more joy. I'd have less to suffer about.
Exactly. We are on the same page. As far as
let me tell you.
Yeah, go on.
The Jewish people, it's really all about suffering. Now, where I am doubly hexed is that I feel like this suffering will lead to something. So I'm going to be fucked in the suffering, and then I'm going to be fucked in the I'm hoping of something that will one day happen, and the dream will come to fruition, and it won't.
One can hope at least that we'll get somewhere. One can hope, and that's what gets us by, but also doesn't get us by. You know what I'm saying? That's what keeps us alive and kills us at the same time. So I agree. I think I could find a lot more joy in my life being in a coma, because I've been in bed all day. I don't know what's going on. I wouldn't have to deal with this whole creative mindset that we have, and we comedians really suffer. People don't know that. When you have a mindset like this, it takes its toll on you.
Yeah,
Robin Williams, case in point.
You're constantly thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And people would say on the surface, he's already lived 65 years or however old he was, super successful, had a family, but you don't know what's going on there. I mean, you don't really know day to day what he's thinking about, what he's what he's dealing with.
Yeah, and
he's got a mind that's going all the time.
Exactly, and no one you never think it. I never thought it, and then when he for every comedian out there, that's you, me, and even the smallest comedian, even starting off, I think Robin Williams meant the world to all of us. I mean, it's been what, 2 years now since he's been gone. Time really flies, and not a day goes by that no comedian doesn't ever remember Robin Williams, because he was one of the best. I mean, the mind went at 100 miles an hour, and he could knock your socks off with anything. That was the genius of Robin Williams, and he is a dearly missed.
Absolutely.
He's dearly missed for any comedian out there. But yeah.
Yeah, you were talking about improv, and I'm sure a lot of the lines in his movies were pre-prepared, but the guy just did not stop.
Yeah.
Constantly coming up with stuff off the top of his head. I actually was at a live taping at the Letterman show in New York, and he was the guest.
Yeah.
And the guy would get up at the commercial breaks, dance around, go crazy. You could tell this guy had a certain energy where it's high, his highest highs, and then its lowest lows.
It's almost bipolar.
It sounds like that's what happened.
It's almost bipolar, but that's where the genius came in, and you could sense that and being a comedian, as someone who suffers from depression, that's where he's going with this, and I sincerely think that his mind was going astray, and that's what took its toll on him, because I think you have life. You got 100 years as long as your mind works, but the moment the mind doesn't work, it's gone. It's over for you. So the mind has to work. It's very, very it's pivotal. Yeah.
Especially for someone like that. Whereas for us, some other people, the mind's never worked, so they don't even notice.
Yeah, case in point, the model that the TED Talk you were telling me about. So now,
yes.
Speaking of talks in general, now, you have do you have anything you want to plug? I know that you have that you write sketches, you have short videos, you do you're not doing stand up at the moment, but you're writing a lot more, and you've got a YouTube channel coming up called what's it called, Absurdist TV or something?
Yeah, the goal there is to get some short YouTube specifically made content. I have some ideas that I've already written sketches for. I actually want to bring this concept of kind of like a music video with stand-up. I'd like to get that up on the YouTube channel. It doesn't just have to be my own stand-up, but other stand-ups, and then kind of put just put a video to it, and the stand-up audio is going underneath. So if anybody out there would like to steal that idea, by all means, and then actually get it to work, and then let's see. So that's one idea, but I want to get sketches up there. I want to be working with comedians and actors, and just get some short form stuff up there. Absurdist TV. That'll be YouTube/Absurdist TV. Right now, you can go there, and there's an empty channel with a giraffe holding a microphone. That's not a euphemism. I also want to say too. I saw a couple of podcasts back. You had the amazing Kreskin. I listened to some of the interview. It said he was on the Johnny Carson show like 88 times.
That's right.
I can't even get book a spot on my own couch in my apartment here. So that's amazing. You went from the amazing Kreskin to the mediocre Lutz. So I don't know, if you're on the right trajectory. No, but I'll leave that to you. I wish you the best.
No. I tell you something. I never write off even the smallest of guys, because you never know who they can become. So I have faith in you, my friend. I think you got something going. If I didn't think so, I'd just cut you off the phone right now. And now you also have a website that you want to plug.
Well,
sorry. There's a website called The Comedy Consultant. That's your website. Yep. Yeah.
So the idea there is to basically connect some comedians and writers, and hopefully we get to the point where we're writing toasts for people. Everybody needs that.
Roast or toast?
We can do roasts. We can do live shows. We can do both. We can do both.
I love roast.
Many of both.
I love roast.
And we have some.
Yep. Sorry, go on. Okay.
Yeah. I have so much fun with that. And in difference to a lot of stand-up, I love the roast format, because you're really writing jokes for one show. It's not it's not a routine that you're doing for years and years.
Exactly.
You're doing those
And
specific jokes.
Yeah.
You're really hitting with everything you have, and then that's it. It's over.
You know who was there'll be nobody ever better, and this is the man who literally influenced me to do comedy, was Don Rickles. I mean, that you talk about the grand roast master, that's the man right there. Nobody can do it like him. Till today, 90 years old this year. If you ask me who I really want to have on the show, that's the one man I want. That's the number one man on my list before he goes out of this world, and I hope he doesn't go soon because I really want to meet him. Don Rickles. You talk about roasting, that's the man right there you want for a roast. He is the best.
No, you're absolutely right. He's incredible. He's the best. Hopefully I'm not taking his spot today. Hopefully I didn't push him out and bump him. But you were talking about before with Robin Williams, and it's his mind. His mind is still going at 90 or 91, and the guy is so
razor
sharp.
quick.
It's incredible.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's amazing, and he's still selling out gigs at the Saban Theater and Vegas, and the Dean Martin roast with the best. The Fry's roast today are not the same, but I still love roast comedy. I was a roast comedian. I have roasted in Malaysia to 300 oncologists. That's a story for another time. Because they can't. No, everyone's become too sensitive. So, this has become a dying breed of comedy, and someone has to bring it back. And that's why I want to have the older comedians on. I'm having one guy come on a future episode. His name's Steve Middleman. He's also a Jewish gentleman who was on Carson and Letterman and Leno. And he's been on he's done shows for Steve Martin and Ray Romano, and he's a corporate comedian, and he's had roles in The Out of Towners with Steve Martin and Roxanne. So hopefully he'll shed some light on the old school comedy days, back to that, because it's not what it once was.
As you just rattled it off, 5 minutes of credits there, my dick shriveled up in inadequacy.
Well, you'll be fine. You'll get somewhere. You just
sounds awesome. I mean, I'd love to.
You got to get back to the stand-up scene. Trust me.
I'd love to talk to him too. No, that's not.
Yeah.
No, that sounds great, man. My friend said, "Hang in there." I said, "I can't afford the rope."
Yeah. You know what? I think you might be right. You should keep hanging there so you can finally die and get into the coma then.
And then it's over, and then I can just relax. That's all I really want to do. I don't really, people are always trying to get you to do stuff. Nobody really wants to do anything.
No, exactly. No, I'm on the same wavelength. I mean, people ask me, what do you want out of life? I say I want death. Simple as that. Finish it off. I don't need this. Now, speaking of that, we're running out of time over here, Jeff, so I got to close off the show, and I always have a last question that I ask on my show before I close it off. So the question is, historically, what were we as a society? What are we now? And where do you see us going in the future?
Oh, wow.
It's a very philosophical show,
like
my friend.
The end of a Miss America patch?
It's a philosophical show, my friend. Hence the name Phil, so, yep.
The philosophy. Cut that out, please.
Yeah.
Man, I wish I had this to think about. Where were we? Where are we? Where are we going?
Yep.
I guess where we were was a simpler time, but I think that just reflecting back, everything seems simpler. Where we're at now, it just feels like chaos. And I guess maybe that's always the moment we're in. It always feels chaos. It always feels like, if we don't do this, this is, it's destruction. It's the end of the world. Mm-hmm. Where we're going is to a place where everybody wears the same outfits. Dogs will be running the world, or probably Mars, or wherever we live. We won't be able to pee or defecate. PC, that's out. This interview will never be seen. We'll see the light of day. Me and you, comedy is done. Comedy is over. You can't be funny. You can't have any edge to you. No piercings, no earrings. Everybody will look the same. Everybody will be like a half shade of kind of whitish brown. A lot of helmets, I think.
Well, there you go. See, you finally got into a good answer, actually. That's a very distinctive answer, your last one especially. I asked this to all my guests on the show, and everyone has a different answer, and that's exactly why I ask it. And you know what? That was pretty good. I'll give you that. You started off a little bit rough, but you got there.
Thank you. So I'm...
You got to your climax. There you go. Happy ending.
More, but... Excellent. I'm looking forward to that coma.
Okay, yeah, the coma. That's what we're both looking forward to. All right. On that note, we got to close off the show. Thank you, Jeff, for coming on. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
All right. Peace out, society, or try to be that way at least. Cheers.